I have my pronouns in my bio. This has made a number of supposedly rational people very angry. And I can't help but recall the way the word triggered was plastered over titles and thumbnails alike when I was younger. How people delighted in whipping overly sensitive SJWs into a frenzy just by saying something quote-unquote problematic. I remember the ridicule directed towards people, real or imagined, who would approach the media they consumed with no other goal than to call it racist or sexist, who would get offended over the tiniest of non-issues, who would demand ideological purity not just in their video games or movies, but in every aspect of their lives. I remember how those people were made out to be uptight, sniveling crybabies who couldn't take a joke, who considered their feelings more important than freedom of speech, who could never just live and let live, who forced the people around them to walk on eggshells constantly lest they say the wrong thing and be punished accordingly. But then, look at the infamous Starfield pronouns rant, where the mere option to choose whether your character is referred to as he, she, or they sends this grown man into a frothing rage.
Sorry, did you want to get immersed in our world? Yeah, well, guess what? Fucking pronouns!
Imagine for a moment that this was a decade ago, 2015, peak BuzzFeed. Imagine a feminist foaming at the mouth over the option to wear skimpy, overly sexualized outfits. But that did happen, you cry. But no, it didn't. Not a single person complaining about booby armor in video games ever screamed the way this man does, ever got as triggered as he did. And then you look at something like this, the curated list of video games considered too woke to play. This is, effectively, a list of trigger warnings, lest a gamer encounter a same-sex romance option, or a pride flag, or, God forbid, a woman, and have their precious video game marred irreparably. And the games on this list aren't just your Undertales and your Celestes. Counter-Strike 2 is woke because it features female Navy SEALs and female SWAT officers. Civ 6 is woke because it adds quote-unquote historically unimportant female leaders, which is especially fucking ridiculous since if Civ 6 was perfectly historically accurate, it would obviously be extremely boring. Starfield is woke both because of the obvious pronouns issue, but also because the NPCs in this sci-fi adventure are, and I quote, improbably diverse. And hopefully you understand that all of these examples are self-evidently absurd. By this logic, real life is irredeemably woke because you might run into a woman or a black person. But those examples aren't what really get me. It's games like Dustland Delivery with 789 reviews on Steam, or Midboss with 207, or Chessplosion with just 128. Fucking Chessplosion is woke because you have the option to make your chessboard the trans flag colors. And you have to wonder about the people who contribute to this list, who comb through games with a minuscule install base just to make sure there's not a pride flag hiding in wait. How do you see people like this as anything but enormous losers? I do not mean to suggest that anti-woke activists are as bad as the SJWs of yesteryear, because they're not. They are far worse. The anti-woke warriors are miserable and hateful, but they're also weak. They are cowards. They're afraid of pronouns, of women, of people of color, of pride flags. And they're not content to just play safe games like Freddy Fish and Putt-Putt. Yes, really. They need to let everyone around them know exactly what they have deemed problematic, if you will, by whining incessantly about all things woke. I know exactly who the snowflakes in my audience are, and they're not the people with pride flags or pronouns. They're the people who see a 3.5-hour-long video about Tears of the Kingdom and choose to hyper-focus on the 10 seconds spent joking about Link and Zelda being lesbians. These people have become everything they claim to despise: overly sensitive, whiny, self-righteous assholes. They have managed to far exceed, in their impotent rage, the very caricatures they used to mock.